SBA as of January 1st, 2023. So obviously it's been a while now, 2.5 years, but I always like to mention it in case anybody was familiar with the program when it was under the VA. This is now housed by the SBA, and this transfer just provided veterans with the central support point for their small business certification needs and their small business needs in general. Obviously, we house those other 3 set-aside programs that I was just talking about, so it only made sense for us to house this 4th one. And additionally, we can provide so much assistance when it comes to counseling and access to capital for veteran-owned small businesses. As of January 1st, 2024, self-certification is no longer accepted by the SBA. We were accepting self-certification for about a year after the transfer occurred, but just so you know, self-certification is not accepted. You must be certified by the SBA, whether you're a VOSB or an SDVOSB, in order to have access to those set-aside and sole source contracting opportunities. And additionally, as of January 1st, 2024, the set-aside contracting goal for the Vet Cert program was increased from 3% to 5%. So that's huge. I also want to mention that for that same fiscal year, FY24, that 5% goal was actually exceeded government-wide. So that's huge news, and we're really proud of that, really excited about that. And we hope that it is the same this year. So a few benefits of SBA certification, specifically when we're talking about the Vet Cert program, the federal government aims to award at least 5% of all federal contracting dollars to SDVOSBs every single year. And this is important because competition is limited for certain federal contracting opportunities to the businesses that participate in this program. So that means that 5% of all government contracts will be set aside only for businesses that have this certification. So you need to have this certification in order to have access to those set aside contracting dollars. Certification also allows SDVOSB firms the opportunity to compete for sole source and receive set aside contracts across the federal government. This is a very important distinction. Certified VOSBs that don't have that service disabled distinction may also compete for sole source and set aside contracts from the VA under the VA's Vets First Authority. So there is a distinction between service disabled veteran-owned small businesses where they can compete for those contracts across the federal government under this certification, and then VOSBs that don't have the service disabled distinction can compete for sole source and set aside contracts specifically from the VA. Please let me know if you have any questions about that. And of course, I'll get to them at the end, but I know that sometimes people have questions about this. So when we're talking about application, how should one prepare for such? Step 1 is determining eligibility. This is pretty easy to do for this program specifically. The business owner must be a veteran or a service disabled veteran. The business must be considered a small business as defined by the size standard corresponding to at least one NAICS code listed in the business's SAM profile. No less than 51% of the business must be owned and controlled by one or more veterans. And for certification as an SCVOSB, no less than 51% of the business must be owned and controlled by one or more veterans rated as service disabled by the VA. And that's any percentage of service disabled. Step 2. Ensure registration in SAM. I told you this would come back up. It's so important to have your registration in SAM completed. I'd say even before you determine your eligibility, because if you want to be a federal contractor, whether you have this certification or not, you need to have that SAM.gov registration. You need to have a UEI. But regardless, if you don't have it up until this point, this would be the perfect time to ensure that you do have that registration. It is completely free, and it is how you receive that UEI. Which, by the way, a UEI is a unique entity identifier. It is a 12, it's 12 characters. It's an alphanumeric code. It's an identifier for federal procurement. It has replaced the DUNS number, if anyone is familiar with that. It replaced it a couple of years ago. But this is an important identifier that you will receive for free when you do register in SAM. And then step 3 here is to gather required documentation before beginning the application. A fact sheet listing all of the required documentation is available at certifications.sba.gov. And I will actually be showing you exactly how to find that here in just a moment. Speaking of certifications.sba.gov, that is how you will get to My SBA certification. So this is the landing page where you will log in, you'll register to make a new account. If you have not heard about our new My SBA certifications platform, this is a really amazing step that we've taken. We're very excited about it. We released it in October of 2024. So now there is only one certification system for all of your certification needs. No matter if you're applying to one certification program or 4 certification programs, you can do it all at the same time under one platform. So you don't have to submit multiple documents across multiple platforms. It was obviously redundant, it was repetitive, it took extra time. So this makes it so much easier. It was long overdue, and we were really excited to release this last October. That being said, I will be going through it here in just a moment. When you get to this landing page, you will of course click here, sign up / login. And I'll show you how to do this live in a minute, like I said, but you can click this Should I Apply feature to see if your business is ready. It will take you through kind of a short survey or quiz, and it will tell you at the end, yes, you're ready or no, you're not. Prepare for application is where you will get your business ready for certification. On the last slide, when I was talking about gathering the proper documentation, that is going to, this link here rather is, sorry, I lost my mouse there. This link here, prepare for application, is where you can find the documentation that's necessary for the application. You want to do all of that before you go to apply. Make sure you have it all gathered. Make sure that you stay organized. That is my biggest piece of advice for anyone applying for any program. Make sure you have the correct documents so you can submit a complete package the first time. These certifications do have, they can take up to 120 days, and that 120 days starts when you submit, again, your complete documentation. So if you're missing documents, your 120 days will not start until you have submitted all of the documents. If your analyst needs to come back to request additional information that possibly you were meant to submit but you did not, that can also pause the timeline. So just make sure you're as prepared as possible. Okay, so when you go to the landing page, you click login or you click that you want to make a new account. This is what it will look like. If you have a code, you can click enter, but most people will go to begin. This is how you will claim your business. So earlier I was talking about a UEI, and again, you get this UEI from sam.gov. All of the information that you have in sam.gov will be merged into this system. So before, like I've mentioned quite a few times now, before you are ready to apply, it's really important to make sure that you have your sam.gov profile complete, it's thorough, because this is the information that is getting imported into our system. You have to have this UEI in order to begin. Again, it is free. And you'll just submit some more information before you move on. Once you have put in your information from your UEI, it will then show you the SAM profile, and this is how you'll claim the business. You'll see which one is yours, and you will claim it here. It's really important to claim the correct business. Make sure that your UEI matches, make sure it's the proper business name, the proper DBA, and hopefully this makes it much easier than the way that we were doing it previously so that you can just type in your UEI and claim it right away. This section here is where you'll select the programs that you intend to apply for. When I was on the landing page a couple of slides ago, you would have seen that one button on the left that says, I think like, should I apply or something like that. And I'll show you how that works momentarily. But during that section, it will actually tell you which programs you qualify for. I didn't mention it yet, but these programs are standalone programs, meaning that you can apply for or be certified in as many programs as you are eligible for, basically. So if you qualify for all 4 programs, feel free to apply for all 4 programs. If you qualify for one program, feel free to apply for one program. 2 and 3 would be the same, of course. Just so we're clear, when I say 4 programs and you see 6 boxes here, that's because veteran-owned and service-disabled veteran-owned kind of both fall under Vet Cert, and then economically disadvantaged women-owned and women-owned both fall under the Women-Owned Small Business or WOSB certification. So here you'll click which programs you will be applying for. All of them require some of the same documents, and then some of them require additional documentation. So you just want to make sure that you properly select the program that you are applying for so that you are requested the correct documentation. Again, that will just keep your application from being held up so that you can submit it correctly and completely the first time. Then you'll assign a delegate, and the delegate that you'll be assigning is kind of the person who will be going through the application process. You want to make sure that this is somebody who is checking their email regularly, someone who can provide additional documentation if it's necessary or answer any questions from the analyst. When you are assigning this delegate, it will ask for their first and last name and their email address. Make sure to double check that here before you move on. Again, you want to make sure that this is somebody who is regularly checking their email, who has great information about the business, who can easily upload documents, and who can easily respond to any of the analyst questions. It does not have to be the business owner. However, the business owner does have to complete the application's attestation questions and electronically sign the application before the submission. It is helpful, I'd say, sometimes if it's the business owner, but it definitely doesn't have to be if you would like to delegate this task to someone else. So then when you have their information in here, make sure you have the email correct because it will send an invitation to the delegate so that they can go in and provide the correct documents and the correct information. This is what the document center will look like. You need to make sure that you upload the correct documents. It will ask you for the documents, and you can also see those documents preemptively before you go to apply. Please double, triple, quadruple check this section. Again, it will just make sure that your application is not held up. And I really recommend gathering those documents beforehand so that you don't have to kind of pause on this page for a long time. It really is my greatest piece of advice to ensure that all of the documents are gathered beforehand. Every certification program, like I mentioned earlier, has some of the same documents that you'll need, but some of them do require additional documents, and you'll want to know what those are for your specific certification. So if you're applying for the Vet Cert program and the Economically Disadvantaged Women-Owned Small Business program, make sure you check for those 2 specific programs what the extra documents would be outside of the basic requirements. Where did my mouse go? Oh, there we are. Okay, then it will be time to review and sign once you go through all of these stages at the top. Remember, this needs to be done by the business owner, so it's important that the business owner logs in at this point to attest and sign. Once you click submit here, remember, you want to make sure all the documents are submitted properly before you click submit. Even if there's additional documentation that you need to submit, make sure that you do so in the document center before you click this submit button here. It's very, very important. And then it will tell you here how many days you have left until the application has kind of reached its 120-day mark. If you need to withdraw, that will be here under these 3 dots. And it will also tell you, I believe, if there's any messages in this section. This is where your dashboard is, obviously, but it will tell you in this section, I believe, if you have any messages from the analyst. And you will also have all of those messages, I believe, sent via email to the delegate. So just like I said, you want to make sure the delegate has not only access to their email, of course, but that they are frequently checking it in case there's any messages that come through. Oh, yay. Okay, here is the messaging center. I wasn't sure if I had it in this slide deck or not. Here's the messaging center. So this is really important to keep an eye on. I believe you get an email with the message in the email, but I think it'll also just tell you sometimes like, hey, you need to log into my SBA so that you can check the new message in the messaging center. And this is how you will be in contact with the SBA representative who is looking at your application. There are several different steps to this application process. You'll be submitting the documents and an analyst will be reviewing those documents. It will then move on to another analyst and then finally a third analyst to make sure that everyone truly is certified for the program. They're all looking for different things. So if you hear from a few different people, that would be why, but that is also why it does take 120 days. Not every program will take 120 days, but right now we are looking more so at that 120-day time period. It's also, I know I keep harping on this, but it's really important to note, it's why it's so important to submit the complete package the first time, because if the analyst is looking, let's say it's the first analyst who's looking at your application, they're missing, let's say your DD 214 or something like that. They'll come back to you to ask for the DD 214 and then they will move on to their next case. So it could be a minute until they come back to your case because they are trying to get through as many as they can as well. And your application would still need to move on to the second and the third analyst before it can be confirmed by the associate administrator of the SBA. So just keep that in mind. And that is why I really was harping on gathering the correct documentation. I'm going to leave this up for just a moment before I move on to just kind of showing you around the MySBA platform. For more information about VetCert itself, you can visit the SBA's website, sba.gov/VetCert, and our SBA website has a lot of great information on it. If you're interested in learning more about contracting, let's say when I was on that second or third slide, when I was asking if you're ready for federal procurement, maybe you answered unsure to those questions. This would be a really good time, I'd say, for you to go back to the SBA website and look at our contracting guide. And it really goes through a lot of different, first of all, contracting jargon. So you know kind of what some of these different phrases mean, what some of these different acronyms mean. And it provides a lot of helpful links so that you can get the proper identifications and registrations before you move forward with federal procurement. And lastly, it goes through a huge section of market research. So it provides all of the market research tools that I was talking about earlier and where to find those and how to use those as well. You can also email the VetCert team. They do have a call number as well, 800-862-8088, and that is specifically for the VetCert certification. So I find that to be very helpful because it is specific. It's not just general SBA or even general SBA certifications. It is specific to the VetCert program. Additionally, you can email the MySBA Certifications Help Desk at certifications@sba.gov. Don't forget this S here. Sometimes people do, and obviously they don't get a response. So certifications@sba.gov. You could visit the resources page on MySBA Certifications, which I'll show you momentarily. And then you can also always give me a call or send me an email, caroline.henson@sba.gov. I'll put my email address in the chat here momentarily as well. But feel free to send me an email if you have any questions that come up after today about the certification, about the process, about any of our certifications. If you'd like to be connected with your local district office, feel free to send me an email. I am going to quickly take a drink of water and I'm going to pull up my other screen here. One moment, please. All right. Okay, so this is what certifications.sba.gov looks like when you very first log in, or when you even go to the page, not even logged in. This is the page that I was showing you earlier, a screenshot of. Of course, as I mentioned before, this is where you'll sign up /login. But I really want you to take a look here at, if you scroll all the way down, what it looks like. A help desk number is here. This is for general certifications. It's not the same number as the VetCert helpline. And then of course, here's that certifications@sba.gov email that I was referring to earlier. First things I want to show you would be, should I apply? So this is how you'll see if your business is ready for certification and also what certifications you would be eligible for. Now, I have already shown this on my computer a few times and it will not allow me to change my answers. So just make sure that you have your answers correct the first time, but I can still go through and show you what kind of questions it'll ask. It'll ask if you own 51% or more of your business. If you click no on some of these, it will tell you if there would be any sort of problem. It'll also ask for your sex, if you're claiming social disadvantage, if you need information about social disadvantage, it'll give you the information plus the CFR reference. It'll ask if you're a US citizen, trying to see which ones will tell you, give you the extra box at the bottom. It'll ask if you're a veteran. So for this one, I'm going to say yes. It'll also ask you to type in a NICS code. So you'll submit, I'm using 541511 as an example. You'll submit a NICS code. It will tell you the amount awarded in FY23, which is nice just to see what that amount would be. You'll click next. And then it's going to ask for your readiness here. So this is really important. Is your business generating revenue? For example, here, if I click no, you'll get this exclamation mark that for some certifications, specifically the 8A program, that you are required to show 2 years of revenue. So that is something to consider. Do you have a track record of delivering quality goods and services on time and within budget? Let's say I put no here. It will say the best way to show that your company is ready for the SBA certification program is to have a track record of successful performance. Can you invoice and receive payments electronically? If I were to put no, it just says you'll be required to do so. And can you cover your costs? If you click no, it'll say you need to have sufficient capital. It is nice because it will show you the Fund Your Business tab on SBA's website, which can, of course, be helpful for that. It will then move on to eligibility questions, and this is how it will help you determine which programs you qualify for. So do you own a small business located in the US? Do you believe your principal office is located in a hub zone? So on and so forth. So it'll ask you quite a few different questions, and it'll say you may be eligible. It would tell you which programs you would be eligible for. So this is where it's really important just to be honest as you go through this so you can see exactly which programs you would be eligible for, and you have this information before you go in for the application. As you saw as I was going through those screenshots, you will need to know which programs you're applying for before you begin the application process. So this is a really great way to just kind of see what that is if you're unsure. It will also tell you a little bit more about each program if you click these drop-down menus. Okay, so going back home here, the other thing, actually there's 2 more tabs I'd like to show you here. Prepare for application. I've referred to this quite a few times. This tab is huge. I'd say this is one of the most beneficial sections of my SBA. You have the application preview so that you can actually see what the application looks like. I know we obviously just went through it, but you can see exactly what you're getting into. It doesn't have to be a surprise. And it's just really helpful to be able to see, what it's going to look like. I don't know if it's going to pull up for me right now. There we go. And you can just go through this slide deck, and it's very similar to what I was just showing you. Additionally, it will show you how to gather documents for different types of business structures. I feel like most commonly businesses are set up as LLCs, so I'll just show you this one. It will show you exactly which documents are required. This is quite a long document, so just be aware of that. Make sure you go through and just see exactly what is necessary. Please don't leave anything out, but this is really, really, really important. Make sure you also click on the program specific so that you can see the different specific documents that are required. You can see that some programs require more than others. And then if you're an entity-owned business, then it will show you which documents would be needed for entity-owned. And then last thing that I would like to show you here is if you click on resources, you'll see prepare for application, which we already went through. You'll see how-to videos, so you can just see videos on how to guide you through the certification process. You have this hub zone calculator again, and then you also have the knowledge base. So if you're familiar with certify.sba.gov, which is an old system that we used only for the 8A certification, this is a lot of information that was moved over from that section, and it provides, or from that platform rather, and it provides a lot of different information, user guides. Of course, the application preview is here, those how-to videos, FAQs, supporting documents guide, memos, so on and so forth. And every section has additional information that is provided in there with even more clickable links. So just make sure you go through this. Make sure you're aware of all of the resources that are available to help you so that you can have as much knowledge as possible going into the application process. I know it can be daunting. So please utilize these resources and also feel free to reach out if you have any questions at all about the certification process. So that is all I have. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I believe Wendy has an exit poll, and then I'm going to put my email in the chat, and I would love to answer any questions that have come up.
Thank you, Caroline. Yes, before we wrap up and begin responding to questions, we would love to hear your thoughts regarding how confident, after attending the session today, you feel understanding the SBA certification process, and also having this information if you have a clear plan moving forward with your SBA certification. You will also have the opportunity to provide the VA OSDBU, my office, with any comments or suggestions regarding its business development training. So I'm going to go ahead and open the poll. And now, Caroline, I'll go ahead and I'll start from the beginning with some of the questions that we had. The first one, and for all the participants, I'm actually looking at the Q&A. So if you haven't placed any of your questions in the Q&A, you've placed them in the chat. I will try to get to them, but if not, again, I will be reaching back out and responding to your questions sometime next week. So, Caroline, our first question is, how long is the SDVOSB approval process after we have submitted all documents to the SBA?
Great question. So it will be 120 days. It does not have to be 120 days. I will say at the very beginning of the calendar year and last calendar year, we were approving these applications in 2 to 3 weeks. So it can be shorter, and it can take up to 120 days. 120 days would be the max after you submit that complete application.
Thank you. We have a vendor that actually moved from Las Vegas to Florida, and they wanted to know if they need to start from scratch to get certified in Florida, since they had their disadvantaged business enterprise certification in Las Vegas.
So you are referring to a certification that I believe is a state certification. So this is going to be a federal certification that I've been speaking about. The Veteran Small Business Certification Program is for anyone who's interested in doing business with the federal government. If you're looking at state procurement, which is an excellent way to build past performance and just make sure that you're prepared, and there's a lot of money in state contracting as well, that will differ from state to state. So you will need to, not every state even has a veteran program or a set aside program for veterans. So it is something that you would need to look into as you have moved states. But just be aware that this is for federal procurement, what I've been talking about, as opposed to state procurement.
And Michelle, if you're still on the call, what I'll do is I'll reach out. Usually we have an advisor from like the small business development centers or the Apex accelerators that could be able to assist businesses when it pertains to state certifications or anything concerning procurement on the state side. So I'll reach out and see if I can get a response for you on whether or not you'll have to certify over in Florida. Moving on to Alex, what is the minimum requirement for working capital, and what is the minimum amount of employees?
So there's not necessarily a minimum requirement for working capital. When I was asking those questions on the maybe third slide of the presentation, it's something that you need to be confident in. SBA will not go in and check to make sure that you have sufficient working capital. That's something that you need to know personally. If you were to get into a situation where, typically the agency is paying you after the work is performed. So let's say you have performed the work and it's cost you a lot of money. That means you're not getting paid until after the fact. You need to make sure that you have quite a bit of working capital to utilize before then. And if you don't have the working capital and you find yourself in a tough position when you're working on that contract, it can really affect your past performance and your CPARS rating. So it's really just something that you need to be on top of yourself personally to make sure that you are ready for procurement. Make sure that you're ready for these types of jobs by having enough working capital. There is also not a minimum amount of employees just across the board. You do need to look at the size standards for your NICS code. You'll do so at sba.gov/size-standards to make sure that you fall under the NICS code, or sorry, the size standard corresponding with that NICS code. I will say most NICS codes have a revenue size standard, but there are some that have employee size standards as well. So you'll just have to check and see which one yours is.
Thank you. Jacque said, can a SDVOSB certification also compete for a VOSB set aside? And the answer to that is yes.
Mm-hmm.
Terry Ann, how long does it take to hear the final decision on my certifications? I think you said about 120 days, Caroline.
Yes, correct. From a complete application having been submitted where the analyst doesn't have to come back and ask for anything, that can pause the time frame.
Dina asks, are the set-aside programs highlighted differently than those going out for general bid?
They will show on the solicitation that it is set aside for a specific program. So it's just something that you would need to look for in the solicitation on SAM.
My SBA and Vet Cert are both on this site now, correct?
Yes,
What
correct.
site?
So that's a great question. And just to reiterate, all certifications are now going to be through my SBA certification. So in the past, if you're familiar with our past programs, if you, let's say you wanted to apply for Vet Cert, 8A, WASB, and HubZone. In that case, you were applying at 4 different websites, 4 different platforms. You were submitting similar documentation 4 separate times. It was just very redundant. So now all 4 of those programs can be applied for under this new MySBA certification platform.
Jennifer said, I went to the Certify webpage and went around in a few circles. I may not understand this correctly, but from my understanding, if I don't apply for a certain NAICS code, then I don't or can't be certified as a woman-owned business. Is this correct?
Yes, that is correct. Now, I do see that a couple comments here. I see that you said certify. Make sure you're going through certifications.sba.gov. You cannot apply through certify any longer. The Women-Owned Small Business Program does have, I believe, 475 NICS codes that are reserved for this program, and these NICS codes are for industries in which women-owned small businesses are underrepresented. 445 NICS codes. It actually might be more than that now because I do believe they've increased the number. So you do need to ensure that your NICS code is included in that number, but I will say a lot of them are. It's quite a few NICS codes.
I have applied for my SDVOSB and have passed the screening phase. Will applying for any other certification halt or slow down the progress of my SDVOSB certification?
Great question, and no, it should not. So I'd go ahead and apply.
Is there a streamlined process for those SDVOSBs and VOSBs who have been certified by VetBiz for years, but who are having to recertify with SBA for the first time due to expiration date?
Unfortunately not. You will still have to go through the same process. If you were certified at the time that the transfer occurred, so that would have been January 1st, 2023, then your certification would have been just automatically transferred to the SBA. You wouldn't have to reapply. So do make sure that you are or are not certified before you go through the process, because if you were already certified under the VA, you should still be certified under the SBA. However, this is important to hear. For any certification, if you let that certification lapse and you do not recertify in the correct amount of time, you always will have to start over and start from scratch. So you just need to stay on top of those recertification dates.
I have experienced many challenges with the application website. Even as recently as 2 weeks ago, it was not loading, nor did it appear to be laid out in the format you have presented. Was the site recently upgraded?
That I have not heard. If you want to send me an email, I would be more than happy to look into this for you. I sit right by someone who works on these programs. I don't believe so. Um, but perhaps there have been changes made. Please send me an email and I will get to the bottom of that as soon as possible. Thank you for bringing that to the attention.
I've applied for my SDBUSB and have, oh, this is a duplicate question. Should we have a business website set up prior to responding to solicitations?
I would recommend it. I think it would be most professional.
I'm curious if my company uses the NAICS code 541511 and has under 500 employees, yet our revenue is over 31 million and my private investor funding is above 24 million. Can I still be considered a small business?
If you exceed the NAICS code 4541511, then you will not be considered small. Do remember that that size standard is going to be a 5-year average. So let's say you exceeded the size standard for 1 year, but your other 4 years were you did not exceed the size standard. That should average properly. Well, I wouldn't say it should. It depends on how much over the size standard you were, of course, but just make sure you're using a 5-year average of your revenues because that will make a difference. However, in any circumstance, if you exceed the size standard, you are not considered small.
Thank you. On DSBS, it indicates that I am an SDVOSB and VOSB certified. However, I recently responded to an RFI and was informed by the CO that their sole certification verifier was the veterans.certified.sba.gov site, which did not display that I was a SBA certified for those two certifications. Are you able to communicate where there is a disconnect?
Yes, I should be. Please do send me an email.
Where do we go to claim our business again?
So when you go to claim your business, you'll do so after you click on the top right corner, sign up / login. You'll click begin on that first page and it will ask you to input your UEI. Once you input the correct UEI, it'll take you to the next page and that's where you claim your business from SAM. You have to have the UEI and you have to have your information in SAM correctly in order to claim the correct business.
I submitted my certification 2 days ago, about 2 days ago, but I don't see the 120-day countdown.
If that is the case, I'm wondering if it's related to the question that was asked previously. Um, Once again, send me an email and I'll see if there is anything like a glitch that's going on with the system where it's not showing that any longer. But please do send me an email. I'm glad to know that you only submitted it 2 days ago, so you at least know when it was. I'd say also maybe just keep an eye on things, like make a note in your calendar when 120 days has ended. However, before then, you should, one, receive a response, and two, if they need anything else, they will message you in the messaging center that I was showing earlier, and you will get an email notification about that.
I attempted earlier to obtain certification and it was very difficult because I use a virtual office address that is different from the address of the place where I most often work. Virtual offices have become very common among small businesses. Has the process changed to accommodate this?
Not to my knowledge. Well, I don't have, let me be clear, I don't have any knowledge about the virtual office space and what they require from that component. I am happy to reach out to a colleague and ask if you want to send me an email, but I am truly unsure what the answer would be to that. So feel free to send me an email and I'll get back to you ASAP.
I missed one of the earlier questions. Can one application be used to apply for more than one certification? Example, can one application serve to apply for both for vet cert and small business?
Absolutely. Great question. If you're applying for multiple programs, you can use the same application, the same login, everything for these multiple certifications, which is the huge benefit of this platform to begin with. One clarification I want to make about this is if you are just looking as a distinction as a small business, you're not interested in any of the specific programs like 8A or VetCert, WASB, or HubZone, you can just certify that you're small in SAM. You don't have to go through the SBA process. This process is only for those who are looking for the small business set aside. So do keep that in mind. That being said, though, you can apply for multiple programs at one time with the same application and the same documents through my SBA.
I responded to this one earlier, but I wanted to see, Caroline, if you had anything or if you wanted to add anything to it. Their question was, I've applied for the SDVOSB but was rejected. They never said why, and this was 6 months ago. I did recommend that they reach out to let them know that they did not receive, I said in quotations, denial letter or whatever the
Mhm.
letter is called. Did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, just also what you said is perfect, I would say. You can also send me an email and I can send you hopefully to the right way to just get a denial letter or get a reasoning as to why you were denied. You can also reapply once you obviously have that reasoning. And if it's something that can be fixed or if you feel like it wasn't correct or something like that. So feel free to send me an email and I will see if I can get you in contact with the right person.
Amy said, we cannot get past the claim your business stage. We get a message that the bank information or TIN is not correct. However, I have verified that it is correct and matches our SAM.gov profile. What are the next steps should we take to resolve this issue?
Since it's a technical issue, I recommend emailing certifications at sba.gov, or you can call the number that I showed at the bottom of the landing page. It's an let's see, I think it's an 866 number. I'll actually read it aloud, but I think a call is always best for technical issues because you can resolve it more quickly. 866-443-4110. I see someone just put it in the chat as well. Thank you, Steve David. Um, but yes, do call because that is a technical issue, and I feel like it's just easiest to resolve that.
Can I apply while still employed by the government? I retired December 31st.
I always recommend that if you are looking to be a contractor while you are a federal employee, you need to talk with your agency's ethics officer. That is going to be step number one. It's more important than any other step, I would say. So start with your agency if you're currently a federal employee.
Where do you find the list that they're using?
Sorry, what list?
Latrice, if you could clarify what list you're speaking about. Oh, I'm sorry. They said I meant a list of the NAICS codes. So where do you find the list of the NAICS codes that they're using?
Is this for the women-owned small business certification or is this just general?
Can you clarify, Latrice, if it's for women-owned small business or in general? And I'll go ahead and just defer this question. We'll come back to it. We have about 1 minute, so if you can add it in, Latrice, then we can respond to you. Andrew has, is it useful to view working capital as the pool of resources required to fulfill a contract? For instance, if you were hired to conduct a spatio-temporal study of the Gulf War syndrome, would working capital constitute the framework that secures the resources needed to comprehensively characterize this idiopathic condition?
That is something that I would say you should work with the Apex accelerators on. I know we just have a second left, but Apex accelerators are going to be an excellent resource if you are in need of any sort of counseling when it comes to federal procurement, including pre-bid counseling or anything like that. So it's a free resource to utilize. They have locations all across the country and it is funded by DoD. So I recommend working with an Apex accelerator near you. And that's an excellent question for them as it is just quite specific.
So Latrice did follow back up and say, yes, they're referring to women-owned businesses.
Excellent. So if you go to our website, sba.gov, and you click on federal contracting and then women-owned small business program, there's a link that will provide you to the NICS codes in which are included in the women-owned small business program. And also, if you send me an email, I can send you those instructions.
Thank you. I see that we're at 12 o'clock now. We do have a few other questions in the chat. I'm sorry, a few other questions in the Q&A, and I do know that there are a bunch in the chat. I will get to you guys next week. I'll work with Caroline to get responses out to you. Caroline, is there anything that you wanted to add before we conclude?
The only thing is, please, like I said before, utilize your resources. They are there to help. Utilize me as a resource. If you need anything going forward, feel free to send me an email at caroline.henson@sba.gov. Or if you would like for me to connect you with your local SBA office or my counterpart in another office, I would be happy to do so. Also, Wendy, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be asked to do these kinds of presentations. So thank you so much. It's always great working with you.
Thank you for accepting, Caroline, too.
Of course, yeah,
We'd
happy
love
to
for you
help.
to be able to come in and assist us with educating the small business community. Before I conclude, I just want to let everyone that's still on the call know that once this session ends, a survey will appear. With the survey responses, it is in the negative. So it starts off with like strongly disagree, and then at the bottom, it's strongly agree. As you are completing the survey, I just want to bring that to your awareness so that when you're completing the survey, it helps us to be able to identify whether or not this training, as well as other trainings that we offer to the community, if they are effective, if it's what you guys are looking for, or if there's something else that you feel like we should be implementing. So again, thank you, everyone. Thank you to my supervisor, excuse me, that's on the call, Amy Kim, and please have a rest of your good Thursday. Have a good one, Caroline.
Thank you. You as well.